Imagine, if you will, that you are an unassuming Japanese housewife. Everything about your life looks normal on the surface. You're married to a husband with a respectable job, you stay at home, take care of the household, even making time to attend a social gathering here and there. You live a totally normal and ordinary life. And it's absolutely killing you inside. The day-to-day monotony slowly grinds your spirit to dust, one grueling minute at a time, and in reality, you and your husband barely speak to one another and haven't been intimate in literally years. Then one day while doing your routine cleaning, you stumble across a book in your husband's study that stands out from the rest. It appears to be a journal. Even though you know it isn't right, you eventually succumb to your curiosity, and inside the notebook you find something you would have never expected in a million years. Pages upon pages of notes detailing your husband's conjugal visits with another woman from his office. The prompts out of the journal read like something out of one of those steamy romance novels you find in the $1 bin at a local convenience store. Your head can't really grasp what it's reading. Your eyes meet the words on the page with a mix of shock, disgust, shame, but most worrying of all, excitement. You place the journal back on the shelf and attempt to process what you just saw when out of the blue, you receive a text message from an old classmate, your ex, whom is looking to catch up while they are in town for your graduating class's 10-year reunion. With the knowledge of your husband's extramarital activities fresh on your mind, you make a choice against your better judgment and decide to meet up with your ex after all. And here begins the plot of Shiori's Diary by mangaka Tsuya Tsuya. This manga, published by 7 Seas, is an interesting one because it does something that has very much become a lost art in the genre today, tying both narrative and erotica together in a cohesive package that elevates it past the sum of its parts. In my fan service video, I explore in depth the recent phenomena of the divide between adult content and general storytelling in anime and manga, and how binary things have become. Either you make an erotic story or you make a regular story, and never shall the two meet, besides some potentially shallow fan service here and there. There seems to be this idea in popular culture today that all erotica has to be pure smut with no artistic or intellectual value, and this divide to me is deeply lamentable due to the fact that in the past, some of the most captivating and engrossing stories I read or watched were those that managed to weave together adult themes directly into the narrative that was being told, with stories like Berserk and Blade of the Immortal coming to mind. Even in cases where someone does want to make a work purely based on physical intimacy, the weaving together of a cohesive and thoughtful narrative into the project can elevate the pleasure and satisfaction derived from the sexual moments exponentially. Mangaka Tsuya Tsuya seems to have a fundamental understanding of this reality, and I feel this is what separates Shiori's Diary from so many stories in the adult entertainment category. The author understands the fact that sexuality is complicated. What people are into and what turns a particular individual on is not governed by logic and does not always make sense, but it does not make those emotions any less real. Human beings are messy, and often our love lives are as well. This is rarely a black and white good guy and bad guy thing. Human relationships tend to be a complex web of actions and reactions, with people providing us with pleasure in one moment and hurt that we never fathomed they could leverage against us in another. To this end, Shiori's life is deeply impacted by the seeming infidelity of her marriage partner, leading her to step out on him in an effort to ease her own pain and get back at the wrong he committed upon her. And a lesser story would stop here, content with painting Shiori's behavior as only a knee-jerk reaction of her partner's own actions, making her justified in her own wrongdoing. But Shiori's Diary takes a more nuanced approach, asking the reader to dive a little deeper. Is Shiori really just a victim, or did reading those entries in her partner's journal simply provide her the excuse she needed to seek out satisfaction from others, relatively guilt-free? It is true that Shiori's husband did indeed cheat on Shiori, breaking the sanctity of their monogamous relationship. He is in the wrong. But rather than confronting her husband about the perceived infidelity and ending the relationship immediately if this is how she felt, Shiori decided instead to step out on the relationship as well, deciding that it is not fair if her husband is the only one allowed to have a good time. Indeed, in multiple instances throughout the volumes, Shiori returns to her husband's study and continues to read about the extramarital affairs he appears to be having on a regular basis, using it as fuel for her own tryst with the men in her life. But isn't this strange? If Shiori was really as appalled by the cheating as she tries to tell herself that she is, why would she continue the act of looking through her husband's journal? Wouldn't this just be an act of self-harm at this point? Knowingly exposing yourself to information that only hurts you? Which is why the only conclusion that we can accurately come to is that there's more going on psychologically with Shiori while she reads her husband's journal than may first be apparent. Shiori's Diary is a tale of cuckolding, kinkiness, love triangles, lies, and deception, and I thoroughly enjoyed my time with it. It made me think more deeply about its contents than I ever thought it would, causing me to reflect on the nature of human desire and the importance of being honest about what it is that one likes and one really wants out of their partner. All this is coupled with some pretty steamy artwork that I loved almost immediately. Tsuya Tsuya's artwork to me is beautiful in that it is simple, but they are able to perfectly convey the emotion and feeling they are looking for in every panel. While there are certainly artists out there making more detailed and complex images, detail alone is not what makes good art. Tsuya Tsuya shines in the conveying of emotional expression. The sexual encounters felt messy, sensual, and erratic, exactly as they should. They chose interesting positions to put the characters in, and I found a balance of both erotic and artistic value in their images. If you're an adult into manga showcasing adult entertainment, I can definitely recommend Shiori's Diary, not only from an artistic standpoint, but for having a narrative with more going on beneath the surface that does a solid job of immersing the reader into the world of the main character and making you ask questions about the nature of romantic relationships that many adult books never explore. If you enjoyed this review and want to see more like it, please make sure you subscribe to the channel, and if you wish to support further, the link to my Patreon can be found in the description. Now go out, grab a pen and paper, call up your ex, and go check out Shiori's Diary. It's a story you're not going to want to miss.